All right, so this is our algebra enrichment cycle 4 notes where we introduce equations where you have variables on both sides. Now, the notes had this sort of equation flow chart, so this kind of gives you an idea of kind of the order in which you do things. You know, obviously, if there are any parentheses, you want to deal with those, or if you need to distribute, you want to deal with that first. So parentheses where you have distribution, you want to take care of that. If you have any like terms that you can combine that are on the same side of the equal sign, you want to combine those. And then kind of move your way down. So we look at these examples here, and as we look at the first problem, you'll see what we mean by variables on both sides. And notice how we have the 2x here and the 6x here. There, if we separate the problem with the equal sign like that, you'll see you have x's on both sides. Now the goal is, the first thing you want to do is try to get the x's on the same side. You can do that a couple different ways. You can move this x over here, or you can move this x over here. It doesn't actually matter what side you choose that you want your x's on. Both ways will work. I'm going to give you a little bit of advice though. If you want your problem to be a little bit easier, you should probably move the x's to the side that has the bigger number. Okay, so if you look at this problem here, you'll notice 2x on the left, 6x on the right. 6x is a bigger number, so we're going to try to move our x's to this side over here. So how we move our x's over is by adding or subtracting them over. So I can add or subtract the 2x over. Since this is a positive 2x, we're going to subtract 2x. Okay? Now, when you do this, some of you may think, well, maybe I'll add 2x, but you got to think of a way that this is going to actually cancel. If I were to add 2x, 2x and 2x wouldn't cancel. That would be 4x. So to cancel it, you want to make it go away. 2x minus 2x is going to cancel them out. That'll be 0. And then we minus 2x over here to the like term. Put a line here. So on the left side, now the x's are gone. And you're left with just a 5. So I write 5 equals, and on the right hand side, 6x minus 2x is 4x, and then the minus 4 comes down. And now this turns into a fairly easy, or at least easier problem to deal with, now that you have the x's on the same side. So now we just solve through our normal routine here. Move the number that's by itself first. So it's minus 4, so I'm going to add 4. I'll add 4 to this side. Okay. This will now cancel. And now on the left hand side I have 9 equals 4x. Now to give myself some room, because I'm kind of running out of room, I'm going to move this up here. So I have 9 equals 4x. All I did was just move it just so I have more room to work. Okay. Next step, since it's 4 times x, I'm going to divide both sides by 4. Divide both sides by 4. This will cancel. Okay. And over here, normally I would divide this, but 4 does not go into 9 evenly. So I've asked you guys to just leave it as a fraction. So 9 over 4, you can just leave it like that, and that's perfectly fine. Okay. Number 2 is the exact same way. So what I solved for number 1 is the exact same way that you would solve number 2. Get your x's to the same side. I'm going to go ahead and do this. I didn't do this in class, but just in case you're wondering, I'm going to go ahead and do this too. Now, when looking at, I have z's, Okay, here's my line to separate my equation. I have z's on both sides. So you need to decide again which side has the bigger z. Now this may be confusing because you look at the 10 and think that that might be a bigger number, but it's actually not because it's negative 10. Negative 10 is a smaller number than negative 6 because negative 6 is more positive, therefore it's a bigger number. So really, you want to move the 10z over here. You want to move everything to the right. The z's to the right hand side. We're going to move it over here. To move this negative 10z over, you do the opposite of what it is. So I'm going to add 10z. Okay, and then add 10z over here to the like term. Okay. These on the left side will cancel. So I'm left with just the 17 equals 21 is going to come down. And then now I have negative 6z plus 10z. Okay? If you add those, negative 6z and 10z, that is going to give you positive 4z. Try not to confuse you. Those are 2's. It's a z, so I put a little line through it to show you. It's 4z, not 42. Okay. Now you solve this just like any other problem. Okay. You move the number that's by itself first. Okay, this is a positive 21, so I'm going to subtract 21. Remember, the idea is to get it to where it cancels. Okay, so 21 minus 21 is 0. Minus 21. Okay, and now on the left-hand side, 17 minus 21 is negative 4. Over here, these 21s will cancel, and all I'm left with is 4z. Now again, just like the previous problem, I'm going to move this up. I didn't give myself enough room. So I have negative 4 equals 4z. Okay. And just like before, when you get to this point, you either multiply or divide. In this case, this is multiplication. So I'm going to divide both sides by 4. Divide by 4. The 4's here are going to cancel. Negative 4 divided by 4 is negative 1. And that is my answer. Okay. All right. Now on to the problems down below where I deal with fractions. Now, I know if you're like me, you hate fractions. I hate fractions. They're hard to do. They're hard to deal with. But I'm here to say that doing fractions can be easy. Just get rid of them. So how do we get rid of fractions again? Now, you may choose to do it this way, or you may choose to do it a different way. I like to get rid of the fractions immediately. So how do we get rid of the fractions immediately? Well, like I told you before, yesterday or the day before, depending on when you had me, in order to get rid of a fraction, you always multiply by the denominator, or whatever's on the bottom of the fraction. So since this is a 5, I'm going to multiply by 5. The only thing that you have to be aware of is when you multiply something by 5, you need to multiply everything by 5. So I'm going to multiply not only this by 5, but I'm going to multiply the 6 times the 5. I'm going to multiply the x times the 5. And I'm going to multiply the negative 2 times the 5. So what that does over here is it gets rid of my fraction. And I'm left with just an x. But it's going to change all my other numbers here. So now this is 5 times 6, which is 30, positive 30, equals. And then I have 5 times x. What's 5x? And then I have 5 times negative 2, which is negative 10. And now you've gotten rid of your fractions. And now you can solve it just like any other problem. So just like above, you're going to move the x's to the bigger side. It looks like the right side has the bigger x's. So I'm going to move this x over here. It's a positive x, so I'm going to subtract x. Subtract x from the like term. These will cancel. On the left-hand side, you have 30. And then equals, and then 5x minus x. That's a minus 1x. So 5x minus 1x is 4x. And then the minus 10 just comes down. Now we move the number that's by itself. Okay, negative 10. We're going to move that by adding 10. Add 10. Over here, it's going to cancel. And again, I'm gonna write this over here just so we have a little bit more room. On the left-hand side, I have 30 plus 10. Okay, well that's 40. On the right-hand side, all I have is my 4x. Okay, and then simply divide both sides by 4. X equals 10. Okay. So now, number 4. Holy cow. Okay, this looks like it's pretty crazy. Look at all those fractions. This is going to be a mess. So what do you do here when you got a bunch of fractions? How can I just get rid of all the fractions at the same time? How you do that is you find the fraction that has the largest denominator. So looking at all these fractions, it looks like this first one here has the largest denominator, and the denominator is 8. So that's what I'm going to multiply by. I'm going to multiply everything by 8. I'm going to multiply the first term by 8. I'm going to multiply 3/4 times 8. I'm going to multiply 6 times 8. And I'm going to multiply the last term there, x over 2, by 8. So I'm going to multiply all of those by 8. So with the first term, because it's 8 over 8, you have 8 and 8, they actually just cancel out. Just like over here, the 5s cancel out with each other. 8s cancel out with each other, and you're left with just x. But the other numbers are going to change. Hey, remember what I told you guys how to multiply fractions? Multiply times the top, then divide by the bottom. So I'm going to do 8 times 3. Okay, 8 times 3. Okay, got that in your head? All right, it's 24. 8 times 3 is 24. Then divide by the bottom. So 8 times 3 is 24 divided by 4. 24 divided by 4 is 6. So plus 6. Now we move to the other side, and I have just 8 times 6. Okay, 8 times 6. 8 times 6 is 48. And then the final one, you have 8 times x over 2. Again, same thing. 8, the x doesn't have a number next to it, but we can assume that there's a 1 there. So it's really 8 times 1. 8 times 1 is 8. Then we divide by the denominator. So 8 times 1 is 8 divided by 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. And then there's an x there, so we have to attach the x. And now, just by multiplying everything by 8, we've now gotten rid of all of our fractions at the same time, and we can solve it just like we did over here. Okay. Again, find the side that has the bigger value. Looks like this side does, so I'm going to move the x from over here to over here. Minus x, minus x. Okay, these will cancel. So I have 6 equals 48 comes down. And then you have 4x minus x, or it's minus 1x. So 4 minus 1x. 4x minus 1x is 3x. Okay. Move the number by itself, so subtract 48. Subtract 48. Okay, over here it's going to cancel. And I'm going to move over here just again so I have some more room. 6 minus 48 is negative 42. And then on the right hand side, all I have is 3x. Divide by the 3, divide by the 3. And negative 42 divided by 3 is negative 14 equals x. That is as complicated as it's going to get. So if you're having trouble with this, you can re-watch the video, pause, wait, try to do it yourself, catch up with the video. If you still are having trouble after watching this video, please put a little question mark, like, hey, just like this, okay, I don't understand this problem, and we will do it in class and show you guys how you can do it in class. So as we move down here, these are more review problems. You have parentheses. Remember, let's go back up to the top. Okay, remember what it said here. Are there parentheses? You need to deal with that first. So here you have a set of parentheses. So this needs to be distributed. Okay, the 4x, nothing happens to the 4x. You're not doing anything, so the 4x just comes down. But I have negative 8 times x. Negative 8 times x is negative 8x. Negative 8, don't forget, you need to distribute to the other one too. So negative 8 times 1 is negative 8. And then equals 8. Okay. So, and then you would solve it just like normal. Combine like terms and then start moving things around. Over here, again, combine like terms. 3y minus y, 3y minus 1y is 2y. That's these right here, 3y and negative y. And then the minus 8 comes down, equals, looks like 6. And then just solve. Okay. This one says try on your own. Hopefully when you come in you'll have tried this. This can be pretty complicated too. It's got a lot of stuff going on. We're definitely going to probably try this problem in class when you see it. So I'll leave that to you to try it and see how you do. If you have any questions, feel free to email me on Canvas, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow or the next day whenever you have this class. All right, this is Cycle 4, Algebra Enrichment.